Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. This is your NBA 2024 All-Star Weekend betting preview. Glad to have you with us. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network here in Indianapolis. As you can see, I'm in beautiful Indianapolis. If you're watching on youtube.com/the Action Network, hey, I'm at a Fairfield Inn with a picture of a chicken on my wall. But I'm very excited to be in town. All-Star Weekend's always a really good time. We'll have content for you coming all throughout the weekend on Action Network Social and Action Network YouTube and Action Network, all sorts of stuff. And on this episode, we're going to break down best bets for All-Star Weekend. We're going to give you two best bets for Saturday night per panelist from our group today for Saturday night, and then one bet from the actual All-Star game. Always a good time. Should be a fun time to bet. Excited to have you with us on the show. A reminder, everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You get up-to-the-second information where the bets and money are coming in on. You can also find all sorts of cool stuff. I've got an article in there with a question. Are the Lakers quiet quitting on LeBron James? Ooh. That's right. I said it. And we'll have more stuff. We're going to have a bunch of really good stuff next week, too, that you're going to want to check out in the app. Like, we're doing a lot of stuff on futures next week to get you primed for the rest of the NBA season. So if you're picking up, if you've been knee-deep in football, watching the best team in this era win another Super Bowl, another one, then you can check out the Action Network app, and you're going to find all sorts of great content in there as well. YouTube.com/the Action Network. You get video versions of this show as well as all of our great podcasts and our live show. All right, enough fucking around. Let's get to it. Joining me for All-Star Weekend preview, I got Joe Delara from New York City, at Joe Delara in the Action Network app and on Twitter. I got Andrew O'Connor Watts, AO Watts 13 in the Action Network app and on Twitter. And Sean Little in New York, but joining me this weekend, Indianapolis. I'm so excited. I love getting to hang out with Sean. Sean's with me as well. He's on Twitter and in the Action Network app at Chicago Flow. All right. There's a bunch of ways that we can go about kind of getting into this, but I want to do this in the best bets format because it continues our traditions here on Buckets. I want to go around the table, and let's start with the Saturday event. So just give me your Saturday best bets. We'll go around, we'll list them, and then we'll give the caps on them, okay? So let's start with Sean. Sean, what are your best bets for Saturday night?
I'm going Lauri Markkanen, 22-plus points in the first round of the three-point contest, plus 135 I'm seeing in the market. And then I am going to go Jaylen Brown to win the dunk contest, plus 420 on the board.
I like it. Joe Delara, your best bets for Saturday.
All right, I like Lauri Markkanen to reach the final round at plus 200. I also like him to win the three-point contest at plus 800. I also like Mac McClung. I'm gonna drink this juice. Give me minus 190. I do not care. This dude is winning the dunk contest.
Okay, Andrew O'Connor Watts, what do you want for Saturday?
I'm gonna split my bets into two small ones. I got Cat plus 700 for the three-point contest and Lowry plus 800 to win the three-point contest.
Okay. I am going to go with Tyrese Halliburton to win the three-point contest at plus 550. And I am going to go with, you guys, look at you, all in the dunk contest and three-point contest like fools. It's like a Team Pacers in the skills contest. Plus 210. That's my best bet for Saturday. All right, let's do this. Sean, you're so excited to get into this. Give me your best bets in the cap for the three-point contest.
Yeah, we all got Lauri Markkanen and showing Lauri some love, and I got a soft spot for Lauri, man. After what happened with the Bulls, I'm glad that he's moved on and has continued to grow his game and become very impactful for Utah in the NBA still. So shout out Lauri, but yes, 22 plus in the first round, plus 135. Last year, he hit 20 points in the first round. He just missed advancing. Now, he had the pressure of not being in the contest before and being in Utah in front of the home crowd. I think everyone's sleeping on Lauri a little bit here. Watts laid it out prior to us jumping on. He's shooting 40+% from three. He is a knockdown shooter. And if he gets hot, just like anyone else, he can get going. So I think him coming off of 20 points last year, let me get one more money ball here to hit 22. People are sleeping on Lauri. I have no deep handicap in here, but I believe Lori is going to hit 22 plus in the first round and potentially push it to the next and potentially compete there in the championship round to maybe win it. I like Lori in the 3-point.
Okay, you're like, I'm no big deep cap here, so you're lucky because I'm going to make Joe Delara follow you, and then I'm going to make Andrew O'Connor Watts follow Joe, so that it's not a good so that Joe so that Andrew just winds up being like,
I'll chime in too.
Yeah, what he said. Joe, give me your cap on the 3-point contest.
So I do like Sean's point about Laurie. You know, this is his second competition, so he's kind of gotten to work out a couple of the wrinkles. Sean made a point off air about how Laurie put his Moneyball rack in the corner last year, and that's generally for not every player. That's not always the best spot for Laurie. That is a good spot for him. He's an elite 3-point shooter, especially from the corner. The other thing is Laurie makes most of his 3-point shots in an assisted fashion. So he's getting the ball like in position to shoot or like coming off a screen or something like that. Laurie is really good in catch and shoot opportunities, and he's also really good at coming off the screen. So just quickly ran this, but Laurie takes 18% of his shots off a screen. So I think that's super important here. Matt, I know like has mentioned this about how coming off the screen is like, it's, between coming off the screen or handoffs or, catch and shoot, all of that's really important for like, what's the closest to like getting the ball off the rack or coming around the rack and shooting. So I think that's all extremely important. Additionally, with Laurie, he's a high volume 3-point shooter. He's taken a lot of threes. He shoots an excellent percentage. He's shooting over 40% from three. He's shooting over 40% on catch and shoot looks. He's shooting over 40% on handoffs in terms of his effective field goal percentage. I think the number here is just too long, and in large part it's because of the name value. I think like a lot of NBA people that like really watch the game, like love Lauri Markkanen. They love his game. They think he's dynamic. He's an awesome player and could really elevate a team to, maybe like a championship contender if he was paired up with other players. Here, when you look at this, aside from Malik Beasley, I think he's probably like the least watched or like sought after watched player like in the contest. And it's not really a knock on him, but I think that contributes to where the odds are. So to get him at 2-1 to reach the finals and then 8-1 to win, it's kind of a way that I can like it's basically like a ladder on the 3-point contest saying, I think he's going to do really well in the first round. I think he's going to advance, and then taking him to win the finals or win the title here, I think is like the next step on top of that. So if you want to stagger your bet in a little bit of a way to reflect that, go for it. But I do like him to win the 3-point contest in this field.
Okay. Andrew O'Connor Watts. What kind of deep numbers do you have to follow up on?
My approach was kind of process of elimination. So I'm looking for someone having a good shooting season. That's one caveat. Obviously, you got to be a good shooter. Surprise, surprise. I want someone that
dynamite stuff, Watts. Dynamite.
So every winner, every winner of the last 10 years except for one has shot above 37%. So that eliminates Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard, who is the odds-on favorite. I'm also looking for recent participants. Joe mentioned that a little bit. It's kind of a weird, wonky environment. That experience is helpful. You want that rhythm of having done it before. So to me, that eliminates Beasley, Brunson, and Trae Young. So that leaves us with Hallie, Lauri Markkanen, and Cat. I don't want Hallie because he's nursing a hamstring injury, and with such a rhythm kind of situation, I don't know how he's going to be feeling. Plus, the number is just shorter. So, I'm not going to go and repeat what these guys just said, but that leaves us with Lowry and Cat. Cat shooting 43.6% on 5.2 attempts. So, yeah, give me those two as little kind of small little bets to win it all. Or if you don't want to go that route, you could do the reach the finals for both, and then you could possibly win both bets.
I'll say it for you, Watts. Who wants to bet on Cat to win anything? No one wants to do that. So
he won 2 years ago.
If it's Cat and Laurie, give me Laurie. That's where we're at. But yes,
he won it 2 years ago.
No. But what I'm saying is that if it comes down to two people, you're gonna want to root for Laurie more than you want to root for Cat, and the numbers
For
longer.
sure.
So
Dude,
we're gonna go.
look,
We're gonna go with Laurie.
If I have money on Karl Anthony Towns at 6-1, I will root for Karl Anthony
Yeah.
Towns.
I mean,
That's
he
true.
is
That
the
is
greatest,
Damn right.
So,
greatest shooting big
look,
man of all time.
But
right?
really quick, in all seriousness, last point here on Laurie. There's just no pressure on him at all whatsoever in this situation. He's the dead bottom of the barrel dog in the competition. He did it last year. He has that experience now. He did it in front of the home crowd. He's just going to show up and loosely fire here, and I expect them to fall for Laurie in this comp in Indianapolis.
Okay, so I will. I want to touch on the Laurie thing real quick. So this is why, like, we always have advise you to shop around. It's one of the reasons why on actionnetwork.com and in the app you can find all the different listings for whether the books have these different things, and that's really important. You need to shop around because there's an 850 out there. That's great value on Laurie Marketing. I can't deny that that's really good value. At a lot of books, it's plus 650 Laurie and plus 600 Cat, and I will just tell you that if that's where you're shopping, the 50 cents honestly is not worth it, because I will tell you this, like, so the reason that Joe's talking about handoffs and all these types of situations, when I started doing this a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago, I'm old. It's a decade. I used to be like catch and shoot. That's what it's got to be, right? Because you're standing still and you're shooting. That is not the same motion. Like, that is not the same motion at all. And I don't know why I thought it was. Like, any shooter will tell you that grabbing a ball from a rack and shooting it is entirely different from a player throwing it to you and catching. I actually kind of wish that they would do that, where they would actually give them guards that would just throw them passes. I think that'd be awesome. Like, I would absolutely love it. And like, it'd be a cool thing to be like, because we could do the cap on like, hey, his placement's actually better than the other guys. Like, he's a better shooter, but the other guy's got a better passer to him.
Yeah.
It's like a BP coach. It's like a BP coach.
Yeah,
in the home run
Giannis is passing to one of them.
yeah. But as it is, you're turning, you're grabbing and moving. And that's a hip movement that's not the same as if you're catching and shooting. And so that's a lot more like handoffs, which is one of the reasons that I started using that in my analysis. And it's gotten us to, we got us a winner. It got us to a winner, a final round contestant. And then last year, it did not work out for a number of reasons. Most important because of something that I'm going to talk about in a second with the Halley cap. Cat's phenomenal in all of these these different splits on these things. And yes, the numbers are are lower, but I will just say, like, Cat's incredible in his career as a handoff shooter. He's incredible as a curl shooter. So like, here's a good example off of screens. So like running that first one, especially run, grab the ball, turn and shoot in those types of situations off screens. He has taken more than all but two of the contestants, and he's hit 48% of those threes this season. That's compared to Laurie, who actually has the most makes of anybody in that category that's in the contest. That's at 40%. So like, Laurie's really efficient. Cat's just a little bit better. So I do think that there is, like, I will just tell you, I will have a little bit on Cat. Like, I'm going to take the Laurie 850 because that number is wrong. But I do think that Cat's live here. I will give the Halley cap, though, because the Halley cap has to do with Matt Mitchell's favorite drink in the entire world.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry. Sorry. The official sponsor of the 3-point contest. Because last year we had absolutely boned in all of our analysis because Damian Lillard decided to just fucking rise up from the starry spots 3 feet behind the arc and nail him. And that was real quickly, this thing is bullshit, and I really wish they get rid of it. It drives me nuts. This should be a contest about, like, hey, how many threes can you make? Not like, hey, can you hoist up some Steph Curry nonsense from fucking 58 feet and drain it? I get it's cool, and this is what the kiddos like. It really bothers me as an old man. I want the efficiency, goddammit. But this is the world that we live in, and we will adjust to it. So guess what? The number one player this season in shots between 30 and 42 feet. Tyrese Halliburton, not Steph Curry. He has the most shots made from that range at 13 compared to Steph at 10. He is shooting. So this is one. How about this one? Tyrese Halliburton from 30 to 42 feet is shooting 46%.
He's a freak.
46%.
You know, he's plus 500 out there to make 2 shots from starry range in the first round. So that's
I
both.
Looked at that one as well. I almost had that one as a best bet. I'm gonna have I'm going to take one on the 1 and one on the 2 as well. I think that's going to be
doing a lot of
yeah, that could be a big differentiator. All thanks to the starry shots.
Yeah, a lot of custom bets here on in the action app. I'm sure they also have longest streak of made shots. I love it.
Yeah, we have a much better market this year than we usually get. We have a really good 3-point market. All right, let's go to dunk contest. Let's start with Sean. Sean, who do you like for dunk?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown right around that 470, 480 number on the board. This is purely on the fact that I can't understand why he would enter this contest without something loaded up and ready to go. If this guy shows up to this contest with absolutely nothing in his bag, for how much people hate on this guy already, being the highest paid in the league, no left, he might do all lefty dunks, honestly. Just to remind people that, yeah, I do have a left. He's doing windmills with his left and everything. But I feel like for him to be priced at almost 5-1 and him putting himself in this position, I think he's going to have some stuff to go. And McClung obviously could just blow him out of the water and just close up shop on everybody, no matter what. And this is one of the contests where momentum is actually a really interesting thing in this contest. If you get people going early, mediocre-ish to good dunks start to look and feel elite because of maybe a dunk you did 1 or 2 turns ago. So I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown. I think the price is off. I think he's going to be ready to go and have something practiced and ready. And I'm excited to see what he does. This is about his name being in peril if he goes out here and embarrasses himself more than it already is. I'll tell you this. I haven't looked at every time I see. I probably shouldn't even say this on record, but I will. I haven't looked at Jericho Sims the same since the dunk contest and him not being able to pull out that piece of paper and open it up and show everybody that it was supposed to be at 50. Every time I see him at the Gardens, it's like one of the first or second thing I think of. I'm like, man, that fucking dunk contest, that was nasty stuff. So Jaylen Brown is going to come out ready to go on a Saturday night. I'm going to go with the plus 470, plus 480.
All right, Joe. By the way, I want to give Joe Delera some credit here for like a Nick is involved in All Star Saturday Night and he didn't take him. So
Twice.
I just want to like I'm very proud of you for not taking Jalen Brunson in 3-point contest and just constantly taking Knicks. Mac McClung, which you got him an absurd number because you're the kind of sicko that hops on openers in the dunk contest. You got him in a plus number. He's the favorite now. Why you like Mac to win this thing?
Yeah, I mean, look, like he opened at plus 160, which is insane. Just mind-numbingly dumb number. Here we are, minus like 190 or so in the market. I still think that that's the best bet for the dunk contest. Like, I think that when you look at this, like, Jaime, what dunks have you seen from these guys? Like, Jaime's not like necessarily like the biggest dunker. I think Jaylen Brown, like, I get Sean's cap. Like, I understand like having a superstar. Maybe he gets like a little bit of a boost from like the judges based on that. You know, like being that he is the biggest name here. Jacob Toppin, like. I don't see it. Like I don't think he learned that much from Obi. So look, Mac McClung, by far the best dunker in this group. He lives and breathes dunking. He's in the Rising Stars Challenge. He's in like one of the teams that they have for like some of the G League teams. He's in there, but like this is his bread and butter. He won last year. You know that this is like what he has lived like his life to do is dunk. And like last year, he did not go nearly all the way into his bag. He's got so many more dunks ready to go. Like I can't think of a dunk that any of the other three, Jaylen Brown, Jacob Toppin, or Jaime Jaquez has had in an NBA game where I was like, that should be in a dunk contest. Whereas like Mac McClung, like every time he touches the ball, the only thing I think he's going to do is dunk the basketball in some absurd fashion. So I'll lay the juice. I think the minus 190 is still arguably short. I think that he is by far the favorite in the contest. I think that he's got to win.
I'm not going to go against Joe. I like Obi a lot. But I do this every year where I wind up going for the guy that has like the most athletic, violent dunks because that's the dunks that I prefer. Like, I like guys that try and absolutely kill the rim. Like, I want you to have I want your intent to be to destroy the rim in every single way. I like those dunks that leave you like taking a step back with the power and authority that they dunk with. But those guys a lot of the times don't win. I like Toppin a lot as a dunker, but I think I've bet on him every year he's been in it, and I don't think it's been good for me. So I will just go ahead and I will tell Joe on this one. Finally, to wrap up, skills competition. If you're a sicko and like me, you want to bet the skills competition.
Hold on, really quick, Matt.
I'm going to go ahead.
Matt, yeah. Really quick. So, are you Dominique or Kemp?
Kemp, 100%. 100%. Kemp is
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Kemp is the most terrifying dunker I've ever seen. Like if you were a youngster, just hop on the old YouTubes on your phones and look up Sean Kemp dunk highlights, because there is absolutely nothing like it. You will not see anything like it. Not Blake Griffin, not anyone. There is nothing like Sean Kemp and the way that he used to try and destroy opponents, the rim, the backboard, the structure of the arena, the surrounding infrastructure of the city. Like, Kemp tried to level city blocks when he dunked. And that's
the Rain Man.
That was, oh man, God,
he was
so
awesome.
Good. I had my biggest card collection was Alonzo Mourning, who's my favorite player of all time. My second biggest card collection was Sean Kemp. I had so many Sean Kemp cards when I was a kid.
Respect that.
The skills competition. So there's 3 teams for those of you that don't know. There's team top picks, which is Paolo Banchero, Anthony Edwards, and Victor Wembanyama. There's team all-stars, Scotty Barnes, Tyrese Maxey, and Trae Young. And there's team pacers, which is Hallie, Benedict Mathurin, and Miles Turner. So the all-stars don't have a big, which is one of the reasons why I'm pretty surprised that team top picks is plus 140. Little surprised at that. Especially with the fact that like those guys like Anthony Edwards, not a speed racer. Now I will say like one of the things that's very big here is how they grade the dunk contest or the skills contest is like sometimes like you don't even have to complete the things. You just like throw it and then you just keep like, oh, you missed it. You just keep going and then they judge it based off of the time. So like this is a pretty funky thing to bet on. But I will just say this. Indiana. So I got into town today and Indiana, like Hallie's everywhere. They're doing more with the Pacers here than they do for a lot of events at various cities. Like the Bulls were not as present in Chicago, and they didn't need to be because that's a major city and the Bulls are a big enough brand. It was also one of the best All-Star games I've ever been to is Chicago. You go to LA, it's not like that because it's LA and blah, 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 blah. But here, like Hallie's everywhere. Like they had a huge welcome event with the Pacers today. There's signage everywhere with Hallie. Like there's like a real thing here. And quite honestly, like, this is an opportunity for Halliburton to put himself on a stage and raise his brand awareness. And like betting on brand awareness may sound like the lamest thing possible, but think about it. What do you want in these competitions? You want guys that really want to win. Like that's what you want. Like I think there's a little bit of value on Tyrese Halliburton for we're gonna get to that in a second. I think there's a little bit of value on him for All-Star MVP because I genuinely think Hallie's gonna fucking go for it. Like Hallie's young. Yeah. Hallie still has a lot to prove. Hallie's is being showcased. Like he's the center of all this stuff. So all that combined with the fact that you know the top picks to me have a lot of problems in the skills department. And the All-Stars, I don't know how fast they're going to go. And the Pacers at least have some chemistry together. I'll go with Team Pacers here at a plus number in the market. There's a plus 200 hanging out there for them. Let's go to the All-Star game. You can do All-Star MVP. You can do the score. You can do side, total, whatever you want. Let's go around the horn. And we're just going to give it, and then we'll do the cap. We'll start with Sean Little. Sean, what's your best bet for Sunday's All-Star game?
Give me the Eastern Conference plus 125, 130, depending on where you're looking.
Okay. Joe Dallaire.
I like the Western Conference minus 2.5, minus 3.
Crossfire.
I like Luka Doncic under 11.5 points, which is just sick. And then if I have some MVP darts, but I do like a sprinkle on Hallie. I think you have to do it.
Andrew O'Connor Watts, what's your best bet for Sunday?
I like Steph Curry over 5.5 threes and a little sprinkle on SGA MVP.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Tyrese Halliburton 16-1 to win All-Star MVP. That's gonna be my best bet. I'm just on Hallie. He's got to win something this week. He's gonna go over. I'm just cursed the shit out of Tyrese Halliburton here. Please stretch, Hallie. I don't want you to get hurt because I bet on you all these ways. Really interesting market. Oh, before we go, I should have mentioned this. Sabrina is facing off against Steph Curry on Saturday night in a 3-point shootout. I'm doing a whole breakdown on that for Action Network in the app. There's like, I will give you the short version here. There's actually value on Sabrina, and you're gonna be like, really? And yeah, no, there actually is, because Sabrina genuinely, I looked at her shot chart. She genuinely can shoot from NBA range. She genuinely can keep up with Steph. Like, that's how good Sabrina is. Sabrina can definitely win this. She should not be plus 200. All right, let's go to Sean here. I love this with you and Joe on opposite sides. Sean, give me the real good. Give me that good all-star handicap for what's going to give the Eastern Conference the edge in what will be a rigorous, tough battle between two great teams.
Yeah, and if Memphis can win as we record this tonight, you can start looking at some Giannis slips as well. Maybe Giannis will try to win a game. Maybe let's make it the All-Star game to get back on the right track. Him and Dame Lillard. But I'm going to go with the East. I was, to be honest, I was shocked that when I saw the opening number, I was shocked it was so short, because I initially was like, this has to be like 5.5, 4.5, 5.5 to the West. So when I saw it open as low as 1.5. I saw 2, depending on where it was. But I think the East has a few more heads that just care a little more potentially about this game. And Giannis has proven that over the years that he does like to compete in this spot. And that's really it. I think there's more guys just on the East that care. Even just a lot of guys that are catching a lot of slander. How about this? There's a couple more chips on the shoulders of the guys in the East. Trae Young, Jalen Brunson's first game. Giannis has taken this contest very seriously throughout the years. So with the number came out a little shorter than I thought it would be, that kind of gave me a little pause, and that made me look at the East. And I just take the money line because I'm not trying to think. I'm not worried about the spread in a fucking All-Star game. So I'm gonna go with the East to take it more seriously than a lot of guys in the West.
Joe, your counter.
So I kind of get what Sean's getting at, because I know that there's a number of guys on the Western Conference team, namely Luka and Jokic, who I think just don't really care about the All-Star game that much. And you have Giannis on the Eastern side, who is just an absolute hardo, like literally number 1 in points per game in the All-Star game. So I understand that part. From my perspective, just looking at the game, I think that the West has a lot of guys that can kind of come off the bench that would care, and that would actually really be trying. So like, obviously you have LeBron and Steph, who I think like just really like the idea of playing with each other. And then like LeBron hasn't really gotten to play with Durant either in the All-Star game. So I think that like this is like a cool opportunity for LeBron to play with, with KD, play with Steph, play with Booker, because he hasn't really gotten to draft these guys a lot of times before. So I do think that that's always something that, and they have great chemistry. The offense is going to churn with them. And then I think he likes to play in the All-Star game. Then you have obviously the bench, you have Anthony Davis. Anthony Edwards is always going to try. And then Karl Anthony Towns, incredible big off the bench. And then obviously the 2 Clippers between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So I think, to me, like when I look at this Western Conference team, I think that they're much deeper. I think a lot of it has to do with whether or not they like care. But I think that if at the end of the day, it comes down to like, hey, like LeBron and Steph, you guys go out there and win this game at the end of the game, I think it can definitely happen. Like if it's close, like that's the combo that you want to see out there. Whereas, the East is on a number of injury replacements at this point. They're without a number of their big guys. It's the first All-Star appearance for a lot of players. So I think that, that atmosphere can kind of get to players a lot of times. So I like what the Western Conference is bringing. They really don't have any replacements there. So I do like the spot for the West.
I'm looking at last year's kind of box score, which obviously was not the same because it's not East. It wasn't East West. They picked teams. I will say, so if I could right now, I would bet a lot on LeBron to win next year's All-Star game. Like, I would love it if they just posted. You know how we get like finals? We get like the finals odds after they win the finals for
Yeah.
the next year. I want that for the All-Star game. I want All-Star game MVP after this All-Star game so I can bet on LeBron, because there's like a very not a very there's a not majority, not better than 50%, but a good chance that that's his last All-Star game, and LeBron is fucking winning All-Star MVP in his last All-Star game.
Yeah.
So I think what's interesting on the side is Kawhi had that adductor, and I haven't heard anything, Joe. I think it's probably possible, at least, that he doesn't play in this one.
Yeah.
Which is not like it's not a huge thing, right? But it's like a little thing where the West is a little short stacked anyway, and that might be a little bit of a problem overall. I do think that the East has more kind of guys that won't play as much. Like Paolo Banchero is not going to play a lot in this game. Tyrese Maxey's not going to play a lot in this game. Like, there's guys that just basically are in the All-Star game and they get their fair share of minutes to be like, hey, you played in an All-Star game, but like, this is not for you. And that's Scotty Barnes, Paolo Banchero, Bam Adebayo, Tyrese Maxey. Like, Donovan Mitchell might play a shit ton, and he would be a not insane All-Star pick or MVP pick, because Donovan can absolutely go off.
Say his name, Matt. Say his name. Matt, say his name. Jalen Brunson. Say it. Say it, Matt. Say Jalen Brunson. Say Jalen Brunson's going to get a bunch of minutes, and he's going to have a great game.
Jalen belongs. Jalen's very good. Jalen's very good.
He's good.
And so he's very good. And so I might even say an All-Star. If I like Tyrese, I kind of need to go with the East here, right? So it's just kind of like I can't justify being like, hey, if I like Tyrese Halliburton to win All-Star MVP, then I can't be like, oh yeah, I could win it if they lose. That's not going to happen. So, I do this every year. I fucking hate this game. I'm like the worst hater of all for this. I'm like the most, and it's not like a new thing. I will say this is not something that happened as I got older. I've always fucking hated this game. I like basketball when guys try. It's really good. Basketball is really awesome when guys try. If you want the best proof of that, how about the in-season tournament? Remember the in-season tournament? Remember the darling days of the in-season tournament when we knew both teams were going to try and guys were going to compete? Remember how great those games were? Yeah. All right, Watts, give me your All-Star Game MVP cap.
I mean, for Shea, it's pretty simple for me. I mean, he's having a dominant season. Yeah. I mean, look, excellent analysis once again. He's very good at basketball. But seriously, the last 10 winners have been in the top 10 in scoring. One outlier, Kyrie Irving, was 13th, scoring 21.5 points per game. Generally goes to a high volume scorer in the regular season. Shea's third, averaging 31.1 per game. And he's having a regular season MVP type season. I could see him taking over this game, and I think at 14-1, that's just too long. For Curry, this is kind of just, I mean, 6 threes. He scored 9, 7, 9, and 11 in his last regular season games, where teams are actually playing defense and trying to stop him from scoring. They actually care somewhat. So in a game with none of that, no defense, I mean, I think he could get 6 in like the first quarter. Like, he could just be, I mean, he's just going to be hoisting. It's crazy. I mean, I just think it's low. I mean, obviously it's pretty chalky, right? 3s for Curry. What a surprise. But I mean, it's just one of those where he could get it, like I said, immediately. So give me Steph Curry over 5.5 threes.
Joe, can you give me the Doncic cap real quick?
Yeah, so Luka, what I noticed is actually in the 4 All-Star games that he's played, he's only scored 8, 8, 8, and 4 points. He doesn't really shoot the ball. He's the most minutes he's played. He played 32 minutes back in 2021. But aside from that, he's played 18, 25, and 19. It's just like, it's really been an odd spot. Like, he just doesn't seem to like I don't know if it's like he doesn't care about it or like he just doesn't get the run or like if it's a coach, like if somebody's making a call saying like, don't play Luka. Like, I don't know what exactly it is, but he doesn't even see a lot of volume. Like his assists are good. He's got 4, 8, 3, and 5. He doesn't really rebound. And he's not really getting to the free throw line is the other thing because they're not calling fouls. So the opportunities there for him are, I think, a little bit more limited. And he actually winds up taking almost all of his shots from 3-point range, which we know that Luka can make threes, but he is not necessarily the best volume 3-point shooter. So I just like the idea of taking an under on him when you do have other guys in the Western Conference that like I think do want to play, do care about playing. So it's like if Luka just doesn't really want to, then like he doesn't really want to.
Something that's like, so I wanted to look at who's like in a good spot right now, right? Like who's playing very well right now. Since January 15th, so in the last month, the leading scorer, no surprise, 7 games played, was Embiid at 38 points. I just want to be very clear on here. Joel Embiid would have won this MVP if he was healthy. He would have won it because the Eastern Conference would have force-fed him to get him All-Star MVP. Like, that would have happened. So it sucks for Joel that he's missing out on that award as well. Doncic is second. Doncic has averaged 36 points per game since January 15th.
Yeah.
36 points per game. Third's actually Curry at 33, so Steph's in a good spot here. Guess who's fourth, guys? Jalen Brunson, 32.5 points.
My guy.
Knicks fans could be excited. Shea is next at 5th at 30. Giannis is 6th at 29. And right behind him is a pretty intriguing MVP spot. I gotta look up the number real quick because I just thought of this. So at 12-1, Devin Booker, who's averaging 29 points since January 15th and over 30 in the month of February. Devin can score, Devin can pass, so Devin can get a bunch of assists in this game. That might be my Western Conference play. I might bet Hallie on the east side and Booker on the west side and do it that way because I actually genuinely would not be surprised if Devin has a pretty big game in this spot because he's just playing he's just playing really great right now. Like this is a good time for him to play. Now he's a reserve, so that makes it tougher. Like I think Shea is a great bet by Watts. I think that's a phenomenal spot. It's always, so one of the things I think is interesting is you have to have the respect of the other guys who are going to give you the runway. Like they won't freeze you out, but there's like a hierarchy in All-Star games.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Shea is there or not. I just don't know. He's not like 22. He's older than Hallie. But it does feel like Hallie is very embraced by everybody. And I just don't know where Shea's at on that end.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's coming off a first team All NBA. And I think part of it is too, you have to take the runway as well. Sometimes guys will be like, oh, I guess this dude's really trying to make an impact in this game. Let's try to get him the rock. I never feel like people are selfish. Like I'm not giving him the rock here. So it's like, looks like this. Like I've seen it multiple times with Giannis where he's just like playing ultra aggressive. Like, all right, bro, here you go. Here's the rock. You go do whatever you want.
I don't want to get hurt.
Run up and down. Go run up and down and dunk everything. Do your thing. You look like you want to win this, so here you go, Giannis. Go do your thing. So I think
I'm not taking the shoulder bump from Giannis in the All-Star.
Yeah,
I don't need that today.
I mean, go ahead and let him finish.
Russ made won 2 consecutive All-Star MVPs. If that tells you what kind of profile wins this one.
Yeah, and like Jokic.
And look, I will say that when he won it, Russ was also awesome. Like Russ was those were the 2 years where Russ was phenomenal. So I don't know. It's interesting. But by the way, those of you out there maybe like this is. Let me put it this way: those of you that bet the All-Star game regularly be like, "No, I'm not gonna do. Who the fuck would do that? I'm just trying to help out the audience here. Do not bet on Nikola Jokic under any circumstances. Do not.
You can bet his under.
Don't bet his overs. You can bet his unders. That's it.
8.5 points.
This is. And I will say that there's probably something like that for Luka here too. This is what's really fast. This is a whole other thing we could talk about. But like the stuff that Joe just talked about with how Luka plays in these All-Star games. They asked him. He was on JJ's show, and he was asked like, "What's kind of prepared you coming off of that last year's disappointment and all of these types of things?" And he was like, "Honestly, I was just really excited to play for the Slovenian team. Like, they have a different mindset, you know." And what's interesting is like, Luka has a very NBA game. Jokic does not have a very NBA game. Luka has a very NBA game. He's heliocentric. He draws a lot of fouls. He takes a lot of step backs. Like, Luka's a very NBA player. And I'll also say like Luka is amongst the people that the guys love. Like, everyone loves Luka. So, but do not under any circumstances bet Nikola Jokic. All right, that's going to do it for Buckets. My thanks to Joe Delara, Andrew O'Connor Watts, and Sean Little for giving us the best bets for this weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with a futures look. We're going to have a big extravaganza. We'll have a lot of folks chiming in with their outlook for the second half of the season, some playoff odds, etc. I'm going to have some win total analysis. You can still get win totals, and I got some edges that I found today at the airport working on those. My thanks to Matt Mitchell, our producer tonight. The number one starry drinker in America, Matt Mitchell, for producing this episode, and our video team for getting us up on youtube.com/The Action Network. We'll see you guys again on Monday. Enjoy All-Star Weekend. Until then, let's get some All-Star buckets.